Good morning, everyone. My name is Tanmit Parmar.
I'm Vivan Mehta.
I'm Nisarg Parmar.
We are from Lakshmi Global School. Today, we are going to talk about different types of printers. A device that prints text or illustration on paper. There are many different types of printers. In terms of the technology utilized, printers fall into following categories.
Daisy wheel printers. It has a plastic or metal wheel on which the shape of each character stands out in relief. A hammer presses the wheel against a ribbon, which in turn makes an ink stain in the shape of the character on the paper. Daisy wheel printers produce letter quality print but cannot print graphics. This is a picture of a daisy wheel printer.
Dot metric. Create characters by stacking pins against an ink ribbon. Each pin makes a dot and combinations of dots from characters and illusion.
Inkjet sprays ink at a sheet of paper. Inkjet prints produce high quality text and graphics. This is a video of
This is an HP thermal inkjet printhead. It prints a swath 4 1/4 inches or 108 millimeters wide. The ink drop generators are on 5 staggered silicon chips called die placed along the bottom. Each die is about an inch long and can have 2100 and even 4200 nozzles. So some versions of this printhead have 21,000 nozzles. HP Scalable printing technology uses single die and multiple overlapping die to build printheads of different widths. The die are customized for inks and drop weights to meet the different needs of business, enterprise, commercial, and industrial printing applications. Scalability and high nozzle density are key features of HP Scalable printing technology. There are 2 groups of nozzles near the left and right edges of the die. Each group has its own ink supply, so the printhead can print 1 or 2 colors. With one ink, the 2 groups provide built-in nozzle redundancy for reliable quality and high-speed printing. A bead of epoxy at each end protects connections to electronic circuits on the die. Zooming in closer, you can see the left-hand group has 2 columns of nozzles. Let's cut away most of the die to look in cross-section at the area around one ink feed slot. The cyan region is filled with HP water-based ink. The wedge-shaped area is an ink feed slot cut through the silicon. It supplies ink to the nozzles. The printhead's electronic and fluidic components are built on a silicon substrate, shown in gray. HP builds thousands of identical nozzles and chambers on each die. A high-resolution optical process used with light-sensitive polymers produces features with integrated circuit precision. When generating drops, the nozzles in the 2 columns fire in a sequence that minimizes fluidic interference. Let's take a closer look at a drop generator. So you can see inside, we've made the nozzle plate and cyan ink transparent. 3 walls surround a heater resistor on the silicon, and the chamber is open to the ink supply through a restriction. 2 pillars prevent particles from clogging the chamber and nozzle. The nozzle is filled with ink, and the meniscus is the surface where the ink meets the air. A human hair is thicker than the chamber and nozzle together. The clock shows time in microseconds. The resistor heats the ink, and a bubble of ink vapor pushes ink out of the nozzle and down the refilled channel. Bubble collapse pulls the meniscus and fresh ink into the chamber. The bubble collapses at 20 microseconds, and the meniscus settles at about 50 microseconds. The chamber and nozzle are designed for specific drop weight and ink properties. Here's a detailed look at drop breakoff. When it separates from the meniscus, the drop's tail isn't moving at all, and then surface tension pulls it downward. Breakoff is driven by the outward motion of the ink and retraction of the meniscus during bubble collapse. Drop ejection typically produces a main drop and smaller trailing drops called satellites. The drops are moving at about 10 meters or 33 feet per second. The gap between the printhead and the paper is about 1 millimeter. The flight time is about 100 microseconds, and by the time the drops arrive, another vapor bubble could have grown and collapsed to produce another drop out of this nozzle. Here, the paper is shown moving under the printhead at about 200 feet per minute, or a little over 1 meter per second. The elapsed time on paper is shown in milliseconds. Drops of water-based ink sit on the surface of plain paper before absorption begins. Paper surface chemistry and coatings affect how long this takes. The ink now wets the surface and spreads out to form a dot. Ink is made from a colorless ink vehicle and a colorant, which is a dye or pigment. With HP pigment inks, pigments remain near the surface to produce a durable image with dark blacks and vivid colors. As it is absorbed, the ink vehicle binds the pigments to the paper. This HP Inkjet printhead can produce more than 150 million drops per second, and some designs can produce more than 300 million drops per second. HP Thermal Inkjet technology, dependable printing with the quality, productivity, and versatility to support a wide range of applications, from the desktop to the factory floor. Now you know what happens inside an HP Thermal Inkjet printhead and on paper after you hit print.
Laser printers. It uses the same technology as copy machines. Laser printers produce very high quality text and graphics. This is how a laser printer works.
3D printer. 3D printer or additive manufacturing is the consequence of 3D object from a CAD model or a digital 3D model.
LCD LED. Similar to a laser printer, but uses light crystals or light impacting diodes rather than a laser or to produce an image on the drum.
Line printers. It contains a chain of characters or pins that print an entire line at one time. Line printers are very fast but produce low quality print.
Thermal printer, an inexpensive printer that works by pushing heated pins against heat sensitivity paper. Thermal printers are widely used in calculator and fixed machines.
Printers are also classified by the following characteristics: quality of type, speed, impact or non-impact, graphic fonts.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.